Thanks, little fella. See you next time. So good morning, welcome to another PTP fishing. Just launching at Enoggera Reservoir. A little bit of a different video this morning. So a lot of people have been asking about Enoggera. You know, what do I do? What do I need? So this video is a little bit of I guess a few tips of if you're coming here, what you might need, what you don't need, some of the lures that have been working, some of the things I look for. Hopefully that means you can come down here and try the reservoir out, catch yourself a few fish and enjoy what is a great little urban waterway. So a little bit of a tips and tricks and that sort of thing on Enoggera Reservoir today. So welcome to another PTP fishing. Oh. Oh, that was the first bite for the morning. So one of the first questions I'm always asked is, do you need a license or a employment permit or anything to fish Enoggera Reservoir? No, you don't. Enoggera is not currently part of the Stocked Impoundment Permit scheme. As I've mentioned in a few videos, the reservoir is stocked by the Brisbane Valley Anglers Stocking Group, which is a volunteer group. So all of the funds, all of the money raised is through barbecues. You know, they basically go and do all sorts of things to try and raise money, and therefore put fish into Enoggera Reservoir, Lake Manchester, and part of the Brisbane Rivers. So no, you don't need a license. But what I would suggest is if you do enjoy fishing at Enoggera Reservoir, that you maybe support the stocking group, get in touch with them, make a donation. That way we can get more fish put in here. That way there's more fish for you to catch and enjoy. Another reason to come to Enoggera Reservoir. Noisy buggers. I think they were trying to tell me that the fish aren't hungry this morning. I'd have to, in many ways, agree with them. Oh, says Peter catching a fish. I have to say, that is the most subtle bite I've had from a bass in here. And that's why. It's also most probably the smallest bass I've ever caught in here. Hey. So that's the other thing that's happened in here lately, is this sort of grassy weed is throughout the lake. Anyway, it's the first fish on the board. So the second thing I get asked a lot is what fish are stocked in here. And at the moment there's Australian bass and Mary River cod. So the Australian bass are catchable at the moment. They've sort of been in here for about 3 years now. So, and they sort of, the ones that you're catching range from, I guess, mid to low 20s up to about 34 centimetres, which is the biggest fish I've caught. The Marys, more than likely it'll be another couple of years before they're catchable. I'll just have one more flick down there just to see if they're actually following it from the weed, or whether there's a few fish sort of sitting, I don't know, out in the open, I guess. Okay, one more for good measure. Oh, no, there we go. That was definitely worth the second cast, wasn't it? So there must be something holding them in there. This isn't anywhere near as big as the last one, but there's obviously something that's keeping those fish in that spot there. Sometimes it's worth doing what you're thinking. So one of the other questions I'm asked a lot is, can you fish from the shore? I don't think there's any regulations that say that you can't. but I think it would be very, very difficult. There is a very, very thick lily pad edge pretty much around the entire lake, and to fish from the shore would just be very, very, very hard. Your best option, go onto the SEQ Water website, see what the rules and regulations are of actually where you're allowed to fish and access the waterway from, and that way you know you're doing the right thing and not getting anybody into trouble, especially yourself. Oh, there we go. That's more like the normal hit that we get here. Stay out of those lilies. He's already in the lilies. Oh, come on. No, he's found those lily pads. Look at that. It is unbelievable how quick these guys are at getting into these lilies. You're going to come out for me? There he goes. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking your time. They're not even big fish, and yet they get you back to those pads. And there's that grass I was talking about again. So there that fish is, 30 centimetres. So while I'm showing you this fish, the one question I am asked a lot, and we'll let him go, is where do you catch the fish? Well, there's a simple answer to that. The fish are everywhere in this lake. The edges generally are all between 8 and 10 foot deep, hard against the lily pads. And I've caught fish everywhere. Yes, there's some areas where there's a few more. You tend to find little groups of fish, which is what I've done here this morning. You know, I've gone most probably 3/4 an hour with no fish, and then I found a couple of fish together. So the fish are everywhere. Yeah, you don't need to go terribly far. I've caught them right next to the launch point, all the way to the very top of the dam. So the obvious question I get asked all the time is what lures I'm using, what are the best lures to use, and again, it's a little bit like where the fish are. I've caught fish on a lot of different lures. The ones that I've found work the best so far in your sort of little hard body lures has been a Rapala, a jack deep, and a fat jack. I think that's because they tend to run sort of 6 to 10 feet on the retrieve. And I think that's that little bit of depth, because the edges here are quite deep, that makes all the difference. But I have caught them on little mini obsession spinnerbaits. I've caught them on TT rev heads with paddle tail soft plastics. Look, I've had experimental lures that I've caught them on, sort of things that I've sort of put a few different lures together with. So I guess I think the fish in here haven't seen a lot of lures, so therefore you will get them on most things. But without a doubt, the standout has been a little lipless crackbait. So Jackal TN50s. I've got a G-Crack Orenta 50 that's just been absolutely smashing them the last couple of times I've been here. And the key to that is that 5 centimetre size. I think that smaller, more finesse size has made all the difference. The one lure I'm really looking forward to trying, Rapala also does a 5 centimetre ripping wrap, which again is that little small lipless crankbait. I'm looking forward to giving it a go too, but yeah, any of those ones that I've mentioned or anything similar will definitely do the job. It's just a matter of swapping your way through them until you find what the fish want on that particular day. Boy, there we go. So that's what I was saying about just finding fish in areas. This is number 3 fish in this area here. And they've all come on that lipless crankbait that I was talking about. So sometimes it just persists and move around. I've swapped lures 3 times this morning just to see if I can find what they want. This is most probably the fish of the morning, so play around a little bit with what you're using and eventually you'll find them. I think one other tip that I would give is the fish are obviously using these lily pads as cover, ambush points. So it does pay to sort of fish along them. It's where these little tips come out you know, they're using that outermost point to sort of sit there and ambush anything that swims past. So I always like throwing past these little tips. One other thing that a lot of people ask is, why do I use single hooks on my lures? A number of reasons really. One is it's a single hook that could possibly go into me. Two, it tends to protect the fish a bit more. The trebles can knock them around a little bit. And when you cast into the lily edges and all of those things, the trebles tend to grab just about everything. So, you know, you get a lovely hook out like that. I use mustard inline singles. It avoids hooking the lily pads more often than not. It protects the fish a little bit, and it definitely protects the angler as well. So that's why I use single hooks. Ooh, that was a tap. It was a bit like that first fish. It was more of a weight than it was a bite. Yeah, there we go. So that fish came back nicely. So that's most probably as good a time as any to finish this tips video on Enoggera Reservoir. I hope you've taken something out of it. It's not a bad little fish, this guy. So a few things to remember with Enoggera is it's not part of the stocked impoundment permit scheme. So if you do enjoy coming out here and you catch some fish and you want to help in some little way, you can donate to the Stocking Association. You can contact them through Facebook. If you don't want to go about doing that, send me a message, leave me a comment in the comment section, and I'm happy to sort that out and help you out with that. There is a number of other videos on my channel that relate to Enoggera Reservoir, so it's PTP fishing. There's mostly another half a dozen videos there, plus various other places. If you enjoy what I do, please like and subscribe. I certainly enjoy bringing it to you. Again, any questions you may have other than, you know, around the things that I've said today, just leave a comment, a like, whatever you'd like to do. So that's it from this tips video for Enoggera Reservoir. Again, I hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you again soon from PTP Fishing. See ya.